dear students, myself Gangadhar Solanke, and I welcome you all to the MCGM's virtual classroom. My dear students, today in 9th standard geography, we'll be learning the topic precipitation. And in this topic, we're going to discuss about the concept of precipitation and its forms. So first of all, here the very short definition or sentence about precipitation. A form of water, now it may be rain, snow, sleet or hail, that falls to the earth's surface, that is called precipitation. So rain is precipitation, snow falling is precipitation, the sleet is precipitation, and hail is also a form or kind of precipitation. And about this we are going to study in this topic in detail. So here some pictures are given for you, and the heading for this: observe the pictures given below. A sentence describing the picture has been given. You describe the picture by writing some additional sentences and discuss the questions. Now this one is the first picture which is given in our textbook. The blades of grass here. The blades of grass look like this on winter mornings. Now there is only one sentence is given about the picture, and you can add your own sentences there or even one sentence there, and then discuss about the question given there. So you people do this by your own in the textbook. There is place also given to write your sentence, and the question based on this is: from where does the water on the blades of grass come? Question about this. Now the second one: snow is found everywhere in the winters in Kashmir. Snow is found everywhere in the winters in Kashmir, and why isn't snow found in our surroundings? Again, you can discuss about this question with your friends. And generally, third picture: it rains between June and September in our region. How do the rain droplets form? Rain droplets कैसे तैयार होते हैं, कैसे बनते हैं? Next picture: in London there is fog like this till the afternoons in the winters. You add your own sentence and the question: why don't we have fog like this till afternoons in the winters in our region? And the last picture: sometimes hailstones destroy the standing crops in the fields. Why don't we get hailstones frequently? These are the pictures and the sentences and the questions. And now we'll start the lesson here. As we know, 70.8% part of the earth's surface is full of water, and the distribution of this water is very uneven. हर जगह सेम नहीं है. At some places the water storage is limited while it is ample at other places. We see or experiences the different forms of condensation as shown in the pictures. Here you can see, and these forms of condensation occur due to the water vapor in the atmosphere. Now you people already learnt about the concept of condensation, but we'll just revise it. So condensation is what? When water which collects as droplets on a cold surface when humid air is in contact with it. So when the clouds become too big and heavy with water droplets, the water starts falling to earth as either rain or fog or mist or dew, snow or hail depending on how cold it got high up in the atmosphere. So as the atmospheric conditions change, we see changes in the forms of condensation. This figure 5.1 is given in our textbook, which is of forms of precipitation or condensation, and it depends on the atmospheric conditions change. On winter mornings, we find dew. In areas located at higher altitudes, snowfall occurs, while it rains in other places. Here you can see fog, snow falling, this one, rain or hail. While it rains in other places, so some places experience dense fog while some experience hailstones which suddenly and face crop destruction. So water falls in the solid or liquid state from the clouds. वाटर फॉल्स इन द सॉलिड और लिक्विड स्टेट. अगर लिक्विड स्टेट में है तो सिंपली हम उसे रेन कहते हैं, लेकिन सॉलिड फॉर्म में जब होता है तो आइस के फॉर्म में वो नीचे आता है और वी कॉल इट एज स्नो. वाटर फॉल्स इन द सॉलिड और लिक्विड स्टेट फ्रॉम द क्लाउड्स टू द ग्राउंड. स्नो, not exactly ice, we call it snow. Hailstones, rainfall are the major forms of precipitation. Keep in mind, snow and hailstones क्या हो गए, उसके solid form हुए, and rainfall which is liquid form. So water falls in the solid or liquid state from the clouds to the ground. Snow, hailstones, rainfall are the major forms of precipitation, and in this topic we are going to study in detail about the forms of precipitation, that is snow, hail and rainfall. So the first thing about which we are going to study is snow, but before that, definition of the precipitation. Precipitation include all processes that the earth's surface receives water from the atmosphere. Now it may be in the form of rainfall, drizzle, dew and mist in liquid forms, and snow and hail in solid forms. Precipitation is formed in the atmosphere by condensation and coalescence of water droplets or ice crystals. Condensation, when water cools down and condenses back into a liquid, creates clouds or fog. The water cycle, about which you people have already learnt, that the water, then evaporation, then water vapor, then condensation and then precipitation. And now the first point or the first form of precipitation, that is snow. When the temperature in the atmosphere falls below the freezing point, when the temperature in the atmosphere falls, कम हो जाता है, कितना कम हो जाता है, below the freezing point, water vapor directly turns into snowflakes, and this is called sublimation. Here the vapor in the form of gas transforms into solid snow. Now what is snow? Snow is precipitation. Snow is precipitation in the form of flakes of crystalline water ice that falls from clouds like this. The process of precipitating is called snowfall. So precipitation in the form of solid particles of snow is known as snowfall. Whenever precipitation is in the form of solid particles, then it is snowfall. In high latitudinal and temperate regions, snowfall occurs at the mean sea level while in tropical areas snowfall occurs at places located higher than the snow line altitude. As snow is in the solid form, it does not flow like water. जहाँ पर गिरता है वहीं पर रहता है. So layers of snow get deposited. जैसे पानी बारिश होती है तो पानी बह जाता है, लेकिन स्नो जो है वो सॉलिड फॉर्म में होने की वजह से जहाँ पर गिरता है वही रहता है. एंड व्हेन द स्नो accumulates on a large scale, जमा हो जाता है एक जगह पर बहुत ही ज़्यादा क्वांटिटी में on large scale, then the transport and communication system of that area collapse. People living in those regions have to protect themselves from frostbite, and when the snow melts the region gets water. Now the frostbite, it is very important for the people to protect themselves from frostbite because it is dangerous. A thermal injury to the skin, resulting from prolonged exposure to moderate cold or brief exposure to extreme cold. Ice crystals form in and around skin cells due to decreased blood supply, and typically hands, feet, nose, ears and cheeks affected by this. Here you can see why it is dangerous. Now the next, hail. Hail is a precipitation of solid ice, and on a warm sunny day a strong connective column may cause the formation of pellets having spherical shape and concentric layers of ice. Such a formation is known as hail. Now about this, in your textbook this is given: when there is lot of heat on the earth's surface. Now this point you can understand by this way, by using keywords or key points. When there is lot of heat on the earth's surface, air flows at a greater speed. When there is lot of heat, तो air के साथ क्या होता है? The upward air flow blows at a greater speed, and because of this upward flow, the temperature of the air reduces and the condensation of the water vapor takes place. And again the next thing, dark clouds are formed due to this. Dark clouds are formed, and because of the upward movement of air, these water droplets go to a higher altitude, and here solidification of these droplets occur and hailstones are formed. So this is how hailstones formed. पहली स्टेप इसमें क्या है कि टेम्परेचर जो है अर्थ का जब बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ जाता है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस टेम्परेचर द अपवर्ड एयर फ्लो ब्लोज एट अ ग्रेटर स्पीड, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस स्पीड द टेम्परेचर ऑफ द एयर रिड्यूसेस, और जब टेम्परेचर रिड्यूस हुआ तो क्या होता है? कंडेंसेशन, एंड आफ्टर दैट डार्क क्लाउड्स आर फॉर्म्ड, एंड देन because of the upward movement of air, these water droplets go to a higher altitude. वो बहुत ऊंचाई पर जाते हैं, and here solidification of these droplets occur and hailstones are formed. Hailstones are heavy. As hailstones are heavy, they fall towards the ground, but because of the frequent upward flow of air, they are repeatedly taken upwards. Now try to understand this. उनका वजन ज़्यादा होता है, हेवी होते हैं, तो कंटिन्यूसली बिकॉज ऑफ ग्रेविटेशन अर्थ के ग्राउंड की तरफ आते हैं, लेकिन एयर का फ्लो भी उसी वक्त अपवर्ड में ज़्यादा होता है, तो उनको वो ऊपर खींचते हैं. लाइक दिस हियर यू कैन सी in this picture, in this image, they are repeatedly taken upwards, and here a new layer of snow encapsulates the hail, and this happens quite a few times, and hence concentric layers are formed while the hail grows in size. उसकी size बढ़ जाती है. These big heavy hailstones fall rapidly to the ground because of gravity, and we call the precipitation of this type as hail showers. Because of hail, crops may get destroyed and loss of life and property may also occur. So here crops may get destroyed and loss of life and property may also occur. But one thing here about hail that we have to understand is that hails occur in summers in India, Africa, and in some parts of Southeast Asia, but hails do not occur in equatorial areas. Now why hails do not occur in equatorial areas? Because of the heat, and hails do not occur in cold zones because of lack of upward flow. Now here images you can see how it destroyed crops. Day of hail, then the post hail, day 4. This is how it destroy the crops. Really get water in the form of rainfall. The temperature of the air with water vapor reduces when it goes higher, and condensation of the vapor occurs. So clouds form when the condensed water droplets and dust particles accumulate. This is very important to understand. Clouds form when the condensed water droplets and dust particles accumulate. वो मिल जाते हैं, condensed water droplets and dust particles, and then the water droplets increase in size because of the dust particles. उसकी size बढ़ जाती है. The water droplets increase in size, and when they cannot float in the air anymore because of their weight. Weight is increasing because the size is increasing, because it is accumulating with the dust particles. तो एक बार उसका वेट बढ़ने से, साइज बढ़ने से वो मूव नहीं हो पाते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ देयर वेट, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दे कम डाउन एज रेनफॉल. बारिश बन के वो फिर नीचे आते हैं. नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस अबाउट द डिफरेंट टाइप्स of the rainfall. In that, the first one, convectional rainfall, then orographic rainfall, and then the cyclonic rainfall. One by one now we'll discuss about this. In equatorial areas, the surface gets heated because of the sun's heat, and the air near it also get heated. This is very common thing. Because of the sun, the surface gets heat, and then as it gets heated, it spreads and becomes lighter and moves upwards like this. You can see this in this arrow. As it gets heated, it spreads and becomes lighter and moves upwards. The air cools down when it goes upward, and the moisture holding capacity of cold air is less. Then what happens? Condensation of the water vapor occurs and rainfall occurs. This is the process how we get rainfall. इस तरह से हमें बारिश मिलती है, especially in convectional rainfall. So in equatorial areas, such a type of rainfall occurs almost daily in the afternoons. Here now in the figure you can easily understand. Convectional rain occurs when the sun shines. Here now you can see this one is sun. It's heating the surface. The sun shines on the land and heats up the air above it. The heated air rises quickly. जैसे ही एयर हीट हो जाती है तो वो क्या होती है, अपवर्ड डायरेक्शन में चली जाती है, ऊपर. एंड एज इट राइजेस, नीचे वो गर्म है, बट एज इट राइजेस इट cools and condensation occurs. So cumulus clouds are formed and heavy rain occurs. In this figure also you can easily understand. So for example, the Congo basin of the Africa and the Amazon basin in the South America experience convectional rainfall, and such a rainfall occurs in a very limited area in the world. It is not common or not everywhere. In particular area it gets convectional rainfall. Now the first point, the sun hits the ground first thing, then what happen, the hot ground hits the lowest air and the water from the ground is evaporated, and then water vapor rapidly rises, cools and condenses. Three important points you have to keep in mind about the convectional rainfall. Now the next type, that is orographic rainfall. Winds coming from lakes or seas. Here from lakes or from seas are moisture laden and they are obstructed by the high mountain ranges coming in their way, as you can see this in the figure. इस फिगर में हमें जिस तरह से दिख रहा है कि लेक से या फिर सी से जो विंड्स आती है उन्हें ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट करने का काम high mountains करते हैं, and because of that they start going upwards along the slope of the mountains, like this, going upwards along with the slope of the mountains. Then the temperature of these winds drop. Temperature क्या होता है, कम हो जाता है. Temperature of these winds drop and condensation occurs and rainfall takes place. So thus, because of the obstruction, here the important factor of this type of rainfall is obstruction of the mountains, this type of rainfall occurs. Now in the second image you can easily understand this. The windward side of the mountains gets more rain, amount of vapor in the air reduces after crossing the mountain and the moisture holding capacity of the air increases. So the leeward side of the mountain gets lesser rainfall, and hence this area is identified as rain shadow. This one, rain shadow. Warm ocean or sea, then evaporation, prevailing winds towards, and because of the mountains, obstruction, and then the condensation. So the effect of monsoon rainfall is important when we think of the Indian subcontinent. We have studied this in lower standard also. The rainfall occurring in India especially is because of these winds and is orographic type rainfall. So here again and again I am repeating one thing, that it is always very easy to understand or to keep in mind any concept when we learn it with the figure. So here you can see what is orographic rainfall: sea, then wind, water vapor, and the mountain obstruction, the moist air rises, and then the condensation or cloud forms rain. Then to understand this in detail, figure 5.5 is given in our textbook, which is of cross profile of Maharashtra and rainfall. Based on this, questions are also given. So if you people observe this figure very carefully, you can answer the questions. What type of rainfall occurs in Maharashtra? Where will the rain shadow area lie in Maharashtra? Considering the figure estimate, the rainfall of your district, discuss. So you people observe this and try to answer the questions. Next one, cyclonic rainfall. But before that, we'll just revise the concept of cyclone. That what is a cyclone? A huge revolving storm. But which type of storm? Which is revolving, caused by winds blowing around a central area of low atmospheric pressure is called cyclone. Like this, it is revolving in circular. So cyclonic rainfall. Cyclone is the specific air formation, and when the pressure at an area is less than the surrounding regions, this is called cyclone. What happened in the cyclonic condition? Air formation when the pressure at an area is less than the surrounding area. Suppose this one, यहाँ पर pressure क्या है? कम है compared to the surrounding area. Then the cyclone formed and air from the surrounding region comes towards the center like this of the cyclone and start moving upwards. Now as it rises, the temperature of the air reduces and condensation occurs and rainfall takes place. So it rains in areas over which the cyclone passes. Cyclonic rainfall occurs more in temperate zones, and cyclones area is also quite extensive. Comparatively, cyclonic rainfall occurring in tropical regions is limited in extent and it is stormy in nature. So cyclonic rain caused by cyclone, heavy rain along the coastal regions, and it may causes damage to the life and properties. Here again, world distribution of rainfall is given and the questions are also there. Which region experiences more rainfall? What is the reason for low rainfall in the central peninsular India? Why does the eastern part of Central African continent gets less rainfall than the western part despite its location close to the equator? Why does the amount of high rainfall in the western part of the European continent reduces in the eastern part? And the last question, why is the rainfall more only in the eastern coast of Australia? Now by using this, you people observe the map and answer these questions. We'll now go for the next one. Rain gauge. What is the rain gauge does, or what is the use of rain gauge? The instrument that is used to measure rainfall is called rain gauge. Very simple definition and very easy to understand. जैसे अलग अलग चीज़ें मापने के लिए, तोलने के लिए हम अलग अलग चीज़ों का यूज़ करते हैं, वैसे ही रेन को अगर हमें मेजर करना है, then we use instrument and that instrument is called rain gauge. To understand this in detail, figure 5.8 is given in our textbook. So the funnel that is used in the rain gauge, this one, funnel used in rain gauge has a specific diameter, and the rain falling in this funnel is collected in a bottle, this one bottle. So this first is funnel, then number 2 bottle. The collected water is then measured with the help of measuring jar, this one measuring jar. In areas of heavy rainfall, the reading of the rain is taken every 3 hours. हर 3 घंटे के बाद ये रीडिंग ली जाती है. The measuring jar reads in millimeters. Here you can see millimeters. The gauge is kept in open ground on a 30 centimeter high flat mount, and hence the rainwater is collected without any obstruction. And in this way, one can measure the rainfall. Now the last 2 points of this topic, fog, dew and frost. When the condensation or solidification of the water vapor in the atmosphere occurs near the earth's surface, then we can see fog, dew or frost. Now one by one, the temperature of the layers of the air near the surface of the earth reduces. The temperature of the layers of the air near the surface of the earth reduces. As temperature reduces, water vapor condenses. And in this process, vapor turns into microscopic water particles. In what it turns? It turns into microscopic water particles and float in the air. वो सिर्फ टर्न ही नहीं होते तो हवा में क्या होते हैं? फ्लोट होते हैं. And when the density of these droplets in the air increases, fog occurs. Now in winter season we experience many times the situation of fog. So we will just check it with the knowledge given in our textbook. Next to this, when moisture laden air near the earth's surface comes into contact with very cold objects, then condensation of the vapor takes place and they turn into very small water droplets like this, as you can see. And these water droplets stick to the surface of the cold objects and this is called dew. Now here we are trying to understand how the fog occurs, how dew forms, and the next one, frost. If the temperature of the air is less than 0 degrees Celsius, if it is less than 0 degrees Celsius, then the water droplets stuck to the surface of cold objects freeze. अगर टेम्परेचर 0 डिग्री के नीचे जाता है और वाटर ड्रॉपलेट्स किसी सरफेस को स्टक होते हैं तो वहीं पर फ्रीज हो जाते हैं एंड दिस फ्रोजन वाटर ड्रॉपलेट इज कॉल्ड फ्रोस्ट, लाइक दिस इन द इमेज. सो दिस इज व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द फॉग, ड्यू एंड फ्रोस्ट, और वो किस तरह से बनते हैं. एंड नाउ द नेक्स्ट थिंग, इफेक्ट्स ऑफ प्रिसिपिटेशन. जैसे हमने देखा कि बारिश हमारे लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है, इवेपोरेशन थ्रू हमें वो पानी वापस मिलता है जिसकी हमें बहुत ज़रूरत होती है, बट जैसे इसके हमें फ़ायदे हैं वैसे कई बार नुकसान भी होता है, एंड इट मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ द हेवी रेनफॉल और मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ द ड्रॉट. सो द मेन सोर्स ऑफ पोटेबल वाटर अवेलेबल ऑन अर्थ इज प्रेसिपिटेशन, बट as excessive rainfall is destructive, so is the absence of rain also. Floods may occur because of heavy rainfall causing loss of life and property. It is not only dangerous for the life but also for the property, क्योंकि इसमें सिर्फ जान ही नहीं जाती है तो और नुकसान प्रॉपर्टी का भी होता है. So in and if precipitation does not take place, then conditions of drought arise like this in the image, and which is again very dangerous for the agriculture. There is a shortfall of food and food may have to be imported. Farmers' condition becomes grave and a country's economy gets affected. And economy of an agrarian country like India is dependent on agriculture. We are totally dependent on agriculture. So agriculture in India to a large extent is dependent on the monsoons. So hence the rainfall in India is important to the whole country because our agriculture is dependent on the monsoon. A good rainfall at the right time increases crop production, while untimely rain can cause damage to the crops. If it is not on time, अगर वो टाइम पे नहीं होता है, टाइम के बाद या टाइम के पहले होता है तो क्रॉप्स का बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसान होता है. So it is given here that a good rainfall at the right time increases crop production, while untimely rain can cause damage to the crops, and the rainfall in India is quite erratic. Visibility, one more thing. Visibility reduces because of highly dense fog, which is kind or type of precipitation. It affects the means of transportation like roads, railways, waterways and airways also. Accidents may take place in such conditions. Frost is harmful to crops and causes accident if spread on the road. Fog and dew damage some crops by spreading diseases, while it may be beneficial to some crops. It depends on the situation and the crops in the field. Now one more and the last point of this topic, that is acid rain. Because of air pollution in industrial areas, various gases get mixed in the air. जो फैक्ट्रीज से, इंडस्ट्रीज से रिलीज होते हैं गैसेस, वो एयर में जाके मिक्सअप होते हैं, and different acids are created when the water vapor in the air reacts chemically with these gases, such as nitric acid or sulfuric acid. So precipitation of water with dissolved acids reach the ground, and such rainfall is called acid rain. These rain are harmful to living organisms as well as the non-living objects. And acid rain may pollute the water. This makes it difficult for animals who live in the water to breathe. As a result, they will suffocate and die. Acid rain damages the outer waxy coating which protects the leaves, and this allows the acid to seep into the tree, which eventually kills the tree. Acid rain causes breathing and lung problems in children and adults, such as fever, asthma and flu. So here, now in this topic, we discussed about the concept of precipitation, its forms. It may be in the form of snow, hail and rain. In the types of rain, convectional rainfall, orographic rainfall, cyclonic rainfall, then the rain measuring instrument, that is rain gauge, fog, dew and frost, effects of precipitation and the acid rain. Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon to get notifications. So my dear students, this is all for today. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe, take care.